Hey guys, welcome back to Movie Speaks. In this video we will summarize one of the films entitled Yip Man 4 the finale, which was released in 2019. But before watching this video, we recommend watching Yip Man 1, 2, and 3 first, so that you understand better the plot of the Yip Man 4. The Yip Man 1, 2, and 3 link is in the comments column guys. Prepare your snack, set a comfortable position, and let's get into the storyline of the film. The film starts with Yip Man, who is diagnosed with head and neck cancer. Doctors advised him to quit smoking and do chemotherapy. But Yip Man didn't answer. One morning, a black man came to Wing Chun Gym. He smiled when he saw the photo of Supreme Master Yip Man. Because Yip Man's students could not speak English, the man was expelled. Feeling disapproved, this man fought back and a fight broke out. Suddenly Yip Man came and blocked his kick. This man was actually happy and immediately hugged Yip Man. This man turned out to be Bruce Lee's student. His name is Billy, and Bruce Lee is a student of Yip Man who is now living in America. Billy gave Yip Man an invitation to a karate tournament in America next month along with plane tickets and Bruce Lee's Kung Fu book. Yip Man is feeling happy, but he turned it down because he didn't have much time. Billy then left it to his student and left. At school, his sons and Yip Man beats his friend because of a comic. Yip Man was then called to school. The principal was forced to issue a zen and suggested that the zen be sent abroad. Yip Man can only surrender to the situation. But Yip Man agreed to send Zen to America. One night, he invited Bob to his house. He asked Bob to look after Zen while Yip Man went to America. Zen talks a lot and says if he doesn't want to go to America. He doesn't even want to go to school. He wants to learn Kung Fu. If his father can, why can't he? And why he's always been blamed since his mother died. This made Yip Man angry. Then Bob calmed Yip Man. The next day, Yip Man flew to America. When he arrived in America, Yip Man was picked up by Gon. Yip Man had to pay a visit to the Chinese Virtue Association to get his school referral letters in. Chinese Virtue Associations are authorized to take care of Chinese licensing issues in America. Arriving at the Chinese Virtuous Association, Yip Man was greeted by the Kung Fu masters. Before expressing his intention, the chairman of the Chinese Virtuous Association, Master Vaughn, first asked Yip Man for help to reprimand his student, Bruce Lee, because he had taught Kung Fu to foreigners. Bruce Lee also wrote various Kung Fu moves in English. He even attended another martial arts tournament, namely karate. Master Vaughn was worried that in the future these foreigners would attack the Chinese back using Kung Fu. Hearing that, Yip Man politely refused. Yip Man thinks Master Vaughn is too much. Finally Master Vaughn and Yip Man got into a small fight. Because of that incident, Yip Man then left without getting a letter of reference for Zen. When he was at the inn, Yip Man called Zen to Hong Kong. Bob then picks up Yip Man because Zen is still angry with his father. On the other hand, Master Vaughn has a teenage daughter named Jonah. Jonah really likes cheerleaders but is really bored with Kung Fu. The next day, Gon accompanied Yip Man to meet his acquaintances to arrange a referral letter for the Zen school. But he refused. He only wanted to work for Master Vaughn, whose reputation was clear. They then went home disappointed. In the evening he decides to attend Bruce Lee's invitation. Bruce Lee is shocked when he sees his master present at his match. It was in this event that Bruce Lee demonstrated the legendary 1-inch punch. In the conversation between Yip Man and Bruce Lee is willing to help make his school reference letters, and because Bruce Lee has a student lawyer. Bruce Lee then introduced another great student. He is a Hawkman, a mariner staff in America. But in that conversation, suddenly a karate group came and challenged Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee accepts the challenge and asks to fight outside. And Yip Man only saw it from inside the restaurant. Bruce Lee finally defeated the karate group. Then from a distance, karate seniors also challenged him and Bruce Lee accepted. Bruce Lee won the fight and senior karate confessed Bruce Lee's prowess. The next day, Yip Man visited the school and brought a letter. It turns out that Jonah, a daughter of Master Vaughn, also goes to school here. She practiced cheerleaders and was selected to appear on the show later. But one of her friends named Becky was jealous and refused her to teach her because she thought Jonah was not worthy. But the teacher persisted. On the other hand, the principal received the letter, but he still needed a letter from the Chinese Virtuous Association. Or if Yip Man is able to donate $10,000 to the school, then this letter is no longer needed. Of course Yip Man couldn't afford it and he ended up going home sadly. On the way home, Yip Man saw Jonah being bullied by Becky and her friends. Yip Man blocked the door and immediately beat them with a portion of students. Yip Man then took Jonah home by bus. In their conversation, Yip Man talked about the problem. Jonah then said she was willing to help Yip Man in getting the referral letter. Elsewhere, Becky cries and complains to her mother. Her mother then called her husband, named Walters, to thoroughly investigate Becky's case. Walters holds a high position on immigration. When she got home, Jonah persuaded her father to give Yip Man the letter. Master Vaughn saw Jonah's face full of bruises. Master Vaughn immediately slapped Jonah for not being able to defend herself. Jonah just cried while Yip Man defended Jonah. Master Vaughn then says that Yip Man doesn't know anything because he doesn't live here. Heard that, Yip Man left. But Master Vaughn challenges Yip Man to a fight because Master Vaughn doesn't want Yip Man to take advantage of Jonah for a referral letter. The fight begins in front of Jonah. In that fight they were evenly matched. But the fight was forced to end because there was an earthquake. They then stopped the fight and Yip Man then left. At the inn, Yip Man called Zin again. Zin still doesn't want to talk to Yip Man. The next day at the military place, the cadets were practicing karate. Hawkman is seen towing a wooden doll. Sergeant Barton asks Hawkman to throw it away because it's not a Chinese museum here. But Hawkman refuses. Finally Barton challenges Hawkman to a fight against a karate master named Colin. If Hawkman wins, then Chinese Kung Fu can be included in the Marine curriculum. Colin and Hawkman then fight. But Colin easily beats Hawkman and Barton ends up burning the wooden Hawkman doll. Elsewhere, Jonah went to Yip Man and gave him a letter of reference. But Yip Man ripped it right off, because he knew that Jonah was faking it. Apart from the letter, Jonah also invited Yip Man to attend the festival. Yip Man then accepted the invitation. On the other hand, Hawkman is showing his commander Chinese Kung Fu. The commander was intrigued and told Barton to study it, while Hawkman is sent to a Chinese festival to research it. Barton was annoyed and then complained to Colin. Colin plans to visit the Chinese festival and prove that karate is far more efficient. In the evening, Yip Man attended the festival. There was also a Hawkman who was recording the festival. Jonah asked Yip Man to sit on the teacher's chair, but Yip Man refused and told Jonah to get ready to perform. On the other hand, Master Vaughn was taking care of the mail in his office. Suddenly Walters came and arrested Master Vaughn on charges of illegal Chinese immigrants. Master Vaughn was then taken to the immigration office. Meanwhile at the festival, Colin and his students took the stage. He provoked and challenged the Kung Fu master to fight him. One by one the Kung Fu master came down and accepted Colin's challenge. And when Colin was about to punch the master, suddenly the master Yip Man kicked him, and their fight begins. Finally Yip Man won the fight and was greeted with shouts of victory from the Chinese citizens. In that excitement, suddenly Uncle Jonah came and said that her father was detained by immigration officers. Elsewhere, Barton finds a badly injured Colin in the hospital. Seeing that, Barton was getting angrier and he planned to go to the Chinese Virtuous Association to find Master Vaughn. On the other hand, Walters accused Master Vaughn of falsifying letters of reference to illegal Chinese immigrants. Master Vaughn of course denied it. But still, because of a personal grudge, Walters ordered his men to arrest all the Chinese in the Chinese Virtuous Association. Yip Man and Jonah arrive at the immigration office. They meet Billy and ask what really happened. Billy advises the master Yip Man to stay away from the Chinese Benevolent Association tonight, because his team will ambush there. Finally Uncle Jonah called the Chinese Benevolence Association to tell him about it. But while on the phone, suddenly a member of the Chinese Virtue Association was attacked by Sergeant Barton. Hearing that, Yip Man rushed to the Chinese Virtue Association. Barton was looking for Master Vaughn and they had to tell him. Barton then went to the immigration office. When Yip Man arrived at the Chinese Virtuous Association, Yip Man did not meet Barton. Then Gon told the members of the Chinese Virtuous Association to leave this place immediately, because the immigration officer is coming. Barton, arriving at the immigration office, asked Walters to let him take Master Vaughn. He wanted to fight against him at Marine Base. Arriving at the base, Barton woke up the cadets including Hawkman to watch their fight. Finally the fight started. Unfortunately Master Vaughn lost at the hands of Barton. He was even seriously injured. Elsewhere, Yip Man takes members of the Chinese Virtuous Association to Bruce Lee's gym. There they were cared for by Bruce Lee. Members of the Chinese Virtuous Association later apologized to Bruce Lee for having misjudged Bruce Lee. Not long after, Bruce Lee got a call from Hawkman. He reported that Sergeant Barton beat Master Vaughn to death. Yip Man then goes to the hospital. Yip Man tried to call Zin again and as usual Bob picked up. Yip Man then tells Bob that he has cancer. Hearing that, Bob relays it and forces Zin to take the call. Yip Man then apologizes for slapping him and he also promises to teach Zin Wing Chun. Hearing that, Zin can only cry and ask when his father will come home. Yip Man then says he will go home after the problems in America are over. Yip Man then asked Hawkman to meet him with Barton. But when he was about to leave, Jonah forbade him. She's worried about Yip Man, but Yip Man convinces him that he is a martial arts expert and has become the goal to fight injustice. The next morning, Hawk Man reunites Yip Man with Barton at Marine headquarters. Barton's so glad and enthusiastic about getting Colin's revenge. The fight then begins. With cancer on his head, Yip Man is having a tough time dealing with Sergeant Barton. Yip Man had fallen, but then got up again. Yip Man finally won the fight after Yip Man hit Barton's throat muscle until he fell. Yip Man then gets applause from the Marine cadets. Long story short, after everything was done, Master Vaughn finally gave a letter of reference to Yip Man and Yip Man accepted it and said goodbye. When he got home, Zen asked his father to teach him Wing Chun. Yip Man then lectures him and says if he's going to demonstrate it just once and Zen has to record it. The film then ends where Bruce Lee attends the Master Yip Man's funeral. He then paid his last respects to the Supreme Master. Thank you for those of you who have watched to the end. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. See you in the next video.